welcome to the podcast. And there's a beautiful irony to this, in as much as we're kind of talking about patisserie. And I'm in France, which feels appropriate. But my two guests, whilst being from France and Belgium, are in London. It's a bizarre inversion, but I'm sure it'll work. Why don't we meet them now? Daniele Maupertuis is a Belgian vegan pastry chef. That means she was baptized in chocolate. True fact. She's worked for 5-star hotels as an executive pastry chef in the UK and abroad. She's won several gold and silver medals in international competitions. And she's a teacher at the Vegetarian Society Cookery School. Her first cookbook was Vegans Deserve Better Than a Fruit Salad. Well, amen, sister. And she's preparing a second cookbook, Veganissimo, in which she definitely aims to bring up the standards of vegan pastry, preparing us to penetrate the exciting world of culinary awards. Alexis Gauthier he's a regular on the podcast, friend of the podcast. He's the owner of French fine dining restaurant Gauthier's Soho restaurant, which was awarded a Michelin star in 2011. He became vegan in 2016 and changed Gauthier's Soho to a completely vegan menu in 2021. He also has 123V, and, well, it's quite a place. Welcome to you both. Let's start with, well, this is an open goal for you, Alexis. Susan writes and says, hi, Vegan Life and Jake. Hi.
Hi.
That's me answering for Vegan Life. It's a weird voice. Do you know anywhere in London that does really good French desserts? All the best, Susan. Alexis, do you know anywhere in London that does desserts?
Desserts or pastry to buy or cake?
Oh, good question.
Because if it's pastries and all of that, I will definitely recommend Harrods Food Hall.
Really?
Yeah, Harrods Food Hall for vegan is a temple of creativity, from a croissant, pain au chocolat, pain au raisin.
Really?
Yes,
Should they rename it Carrots in honor of the vegans?
No, but they were really fast and to take up and to develop some amazing vegan pastry and everything you can think of, like you dreamed of having, like little shortbreads and things like that. They make all vegan as well. Yeah. So, and they do apparently, I've never tried it, but one of the best vegan afternoon tea in London. So, they are really pushing.
I had no idea. Danielle, you too. You're not based in London. You're in Hertfordshire, aren't you? But where's your mecca for a good dessert or pastry?
I would say Harrods as well, because they have a young new pastry chef called Philippe Alhouri. I think he started in November, and he posted some plant-based desserts on social media. Absolutely fantastic. Now there is another young French chef called Céline Lee. She's based south of London. She doesn't have a shop yet, so you can find her in the local market and, of course, online. But she's inspired by French Patisserie, Le Fraisier, Opera, etc. Very talented.
What's her name? Céline
Dion, and her website.
Céline Dion?
Céline Lee.
Céline Dion.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
They are cousins. One is Lee, one is Dion.
Sure. Which how do you
Céline Lee, and her company is called Cocolico.co.
Oh yeah, Cocolico. Yeah, actually, if you follow her on Instagram, she puts some amazing pictures of French pastries. Yeah, she's really, really talented. Yes.
Yeah.
How do you spell her surname? How do you spell her surname?
Lee.
It's Céline Lee.
Okay.
Yeah, and a company name is Cocolico.
Yeah.
So it's and on Instagram she does. She's expecting a baby soon. because I saw her recently. Okay. So she's a bit busy at the moment. Yeah, the things she puts online and on Instagram is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Amazing.
I will check her out. Well, there you go. There is also, I dare say, 123V and Gauthier Soho, right? I mean, you must do the odd dessert, mustn't you?
We do, and we love doing two kinds of puddings. The classic, redoing the classics, and whether it's a creme brulee or whether it's a financier, or but we also like to create new stuff. So this is it's really exciting. Pastry desserts are really a wonderful way to express plant-based ingredients.
Taking inspiration from Danielle's book title, have you ever attempted a fruit salad? I love fruit salad. I think it's one of the most delicate and difficult things to put together, actually, because you have to have the right flavor, not too acidic, not too sweet, the right texture in the fruits. You don't want something that mash other things or something that takes over. So it's actually quite subtle to do a good fruit salad. And at 123V, we do a seasonal fruit salad. And every time I am there, and every time I do them, I just think this is one of the best things ever made for the human. Amazing. Daniele, have you done a fruit salad?
I have done a fruit salad, but I mean, why did I call my book "Vegans Deserve Better Than a Fruit Salad"? In fact, it refers to the time a few years ago when I worked as executive pastry chef in a hotel in London, when we had a vegan guest who came to the hotel. He was asking, what do you propose as a vegan alternative? And many times we had to say, we can suggest a fruit salad or a fruit sorbet. And at the end of the day, I'm not questioning the quality or the interest of a fruit salad, but the choice was quite limited. And this is why I decided to work on a range of vegan desserts.
I mean, it's a great title. Your talk of Harrods kind of leads on to Cheyenne's question, who says, I'm having an afternoon tea and I don't want it to look tacky. Can the experts help me, please, on what to make? That's a great question. What for you makes a great afternoon tea, Daniele?
Well, I would include a fruit tartlet with seasonal fruit, if possible. For the moment, we have strawberry, we have rhubarb, which is a fantastic combination. A chocolate dessert, eventually a chocolate mousse on a sponge, eventually with a little inclusion inside, a jelly or whatever. And then I think a little shot glass always brings a little bit of drama, because you have the 3 dimension in the afternoon tea. And so you can go for a little trifle, a little cheesecake, a little fruit jelly. And of course, you can adapt your afternoon tea regarding the themes, Christmas, Halloween, Mother's Day, whatever.
Nice. Alexis, have you ever done a Halloween afternoon tea?
No, I've never done Halloween afternoon tea, but we do with my team work on creating a afternoon tea, and especially for 123V. And recently, we developed. We haven't launched it yet because I'm not fully ready. But we were trying to find inspirations, and rather than looking at what's being done in terms of like the tartlet and like the shot glass and like the traditional cakes, we're looking for an inspiration. And we decided that for each afternoon tea we are going to use one of our favorite perfume. From like I don't know, something from Tom Ford, for example, and we will do a declination of puddings around all the ingredients that have been used into the making of the perfume. So we will call it like the real plant-based perfume, and whether it's a little shot glass of chèvrefeuille and a chocolate mousse scented with the flavor of lily in the valley. And usually we pick the ingredients from the perfume we like, and we put them one after the other in the cakes and in the pastry, and we do. So that's a lot more exciting for my creative team, and it's a little bit easier to sell to our customers because they just don't have a afternoon tea. They've got something that's a bit more trendy.
Nice. I'm guessing that you haven't got any like cat wee in any of your afternoon teas, because perfumes have got a lot of funky stuff in there, haven't they?
No, well, yeah, of course. We tend to we tend to keep something that more prominent in the flavors. We try not to, and sometimes there are so many secret ingredients. But it's more like the spirit. If we use a perfume from Hermes, which is very herby and very green and very humid, for example. We are going to try to use this smell and flavors and try to put them to reproduce them in the cakes. And then after, for the waiter, it's a lot more exciting to explain, the reason behind the afternoon tea and the experience. So yes, that's where we find our inspiration and our creativity.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jamie says, yes.
If I could just ask something.
Yep,
yeah,
go
of
ahead.
course.
I just wanted to mention that I, in the same way of research, I developed some afternoon teas for the RHS flower show inspiration. I give some demos and created some desserts for them, how to use plants, herbs, and flowers in vegan pastry. So I'm talking about forgotten plants that I try to bring back to a place of honor, like the angélique, which was before a very famous ingredient in pastry to decorate the cakes. I'm talking about a poppy macaroon, not with a poppy seed, but with a poppy syrup, with the sapin syrup. I'm presenting
sapin is a pine tree, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah. I'm presenting some unusual combination from herbal teas. For instance, nettle, blackcurrant, and this is the theme of the plant-based afternoon tea for the flower shows. And I'm very happy that I've been able to create a link, because I think there is an important link between the flower shows and our vegan pastry.
Nice. I'm excited by your nettle idea. I'm in France, and we arrived on late Saturday night, meaning that we were going to have to wait till Monday morning before we could buy anything at all in any shop, because France still maintains quite good trading laws from an employee perspective, but catastrophic from a how do I vitaminize myself on a Sunday perspective. And we ended up, I foraged in the garden and managed to find dandelions and nettles. Dandelions, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to pass next time, but nettles were a bit of a revelation. I just sort of, I blanched them and then sauteed them with some, I only had garlic powder. And they were delicious. It was kind of like spinach, but less acidic. You have this occasional moment of panic where I felt it on my tongue and I was like, that's the texture. It's the texture of a nettle. Should I be doing this? But it was fine and it was delicious, really genuinely delicious, to the point where I'm sort of eyeing up nettles now.
Yeah, the Italian, they use nettles to stuff ravioli and tortellini. Yeah. This is a classic. So it's a wonderful flavor. The depth of flavor is much stronger than spinach, for example.
Yeah, really, really, really worth trying. But
you have to be careful when you pick them. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jamie has a very simple question. How can I make flaky pastry, Alexis?
This is a flaky pastry. This the less you work your pastry, the more flaky it's going to become, and the more you work it, the more elastic it's going to become, and less flaky it's going to be. So that's I will say that would be my advice. But again, I was wondering, is it like to make a pâte brisée, or is it to make a pastry to make a pâte feuilletée? Because that would be two different kind of things.
Feuilletée is puff pastry, right?
Yeah.
Puff pastry. Yeah. So to make it. So the question, you think it's how to make puff pastry more flaky?
I don't know. I don't know what flaky pastry is.
Because I think it's more like how to make the base of a tart slightly more flaky and less hard. And if the question is that, then the answer, as far as I'm concerned, is do not overwork your dough, and make sure it rests, and be as gentle as possible when you prepare it.
I think we're talking about rough puff pastry, basically. So with the fat layers and the
puff pastry. Yeah. I mean, not overdone. To make it, I'm not sure. Will you want to have a flaked puff pastry? Yeah, crispy, sure. Yes, but flaked. I'm not sure. Sorry.
Okay. Danielle.
Well, I think a flaky pastry that was meant should be kind of a quick puff pastry.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
You put a little bit less of vegan butter alternative, let's say. We use vegan hard blocks. It's easier to work with. And as we said, the key of the success is to work very cold. So first you put your vegan block half an hour in the freezer. Don't work the pastry with your hands because your hands are too warm. You work with a spatula. You don't overwork, and also you give less layers. So instead of giving 6 folders like we do in the classical puff pastry, we are happy with 4 folders in the flaky pastry. So it's a kind of a quick, easy puff pastry as far as I know.
There you go. There was me thinking it was a simple question. Kat says, here we go. Such a brilliant podcast. Thank you very much. Thanks very much. She really does say that. Finally, a vegan podcast I can listen to without feeling anxious. Good. I would like to know a way to make vegan choux pastry. Alexis, this comes up every time we have a podcast with you.
Oh, for you.
That will be the impossible question every time it's being asked. I don't know whether I've ever answered this question, but I've got no idea how to make good choux pastries. I hear stories. I've seen things on Instagram, but I've never been able to crack the choux pastry. We do try to cook choux in molds. So like you will do a Yorkshire pudding almost, like a vegan Yorkshire pudding. That would be like the basis of the choux, but it never works. It never works. So I'm afraid I've got no idea.
Danielle.
Well, I'm very pleased I'm not the only one who would have the same answer, because to be honest, I've been trying many recipes, watching many videos on YouTube or whatever. I tried a choux pastry with quite a good egg replacer called from a company, Follow Your Heart. I'm not 100% at the same level as a classical choux pastry, but if you allow me, I would like to say sometimes I'm a little bit disappointed when people systematically ask us to replace, to reproduce a classical dessert. So why don't we explore the richness and new ingredients and new possibilities of a new field to explore, and we have so many possibilities.
I mean, I have to say, I agree with you. Like, the fun bit of an eclair or profiterole or sambas à l'orange, it was never the choux pastry. It was all the stuff that was going into it and onto it. Maybe we can find another medium,
Yeah, I will just add something. Is it's for people who create like us, patisserie or dishes in general. Somehow we have a duty to make sure that people who have decided to become vegan, they don't return to animal eating, because you know what, they really can't live without eating an eclair or choux à la crème. So it's and they are still out there more ex-vegan than vegan, and the reason is because somewhere on the road of their vegan journey, they just couldn't live with this particular item. So I think also I agree. It's really sometimes annoying to be asked to replicate things that already exist and not let our creativity. I understand that people need to find in the vegan world things that they knew in the animal world.
I think you're right, though. I mean, everyone's had conversations with non-vegans, and they all say, "Oh, I would go vegan if it wasn't for choux pastry." I mean, no one said that. I've heard the cheese one, I've heard the bacon one a million times, but I've never heard anyone say, "I can't live without choux pastry."
That exists. Yeah, more in France.
Yeah. Kat, if you do it, let us know. Tony says, crepes have a reputation for being easy. However, I always struggle. Are there some secret top tips for making crepes? That's a good question, because there's like super thin ones. We're not talking about the big fluffy inch thick American pancakes. We're talking about a crepe. Daniele, let's start with you.
Well, I don't have any special recipe or issue with a crepe. We just use flour. We use milk alternative. I don't put any sugar, any salt, so they can be sweet and savory. And the eggs are just replaced by some flaxseed mix.
Rice.
And I'm just using rapeseed oil and vegan block for the saucepan, and that's it.
Do you think it's the secret is partly the frying pan?
Well, it makes your life easier, of course. Of course.
I've found it does depend on the pan a little bit. That's always been a factor for me. Alexis, what about you?
Well, for me, I've always enjoyed the crepe out of buckwheat flour rather than the traditional white flour. So, and I found it much more satisfying and also easier to work with when you cook it. I mean, of course, the pan is vital, and I just think that's the key to a good and memorable crepe. It has to be with farine de sarrasin, which is buckwheat flour.
I feel like when I make them, I use quite a thin batter. I wonder if sometimes people use a batter that's too thick, and then it clings a bit, and it's. Whereas if mine's quite runny, then I can really move it around the pan and make it really thin.
Yeah, quite runny. Yeah.
Yeah, in France, it's a sign of expertise. The thinnest batter, the more of an expert you are in crepe. Wow. My grandmother used to make crepe with water. Can you imagine that? So she will use half milk and half water. And if you do that now, you think, my gosh, well, it's going to taste disgusting. But her crepe were the lightest. She was making the thinnest crepe one can think of, and they were always soft and there's something about crepe, the thinnest, the best.
I don't want to brag, but my crepe's pretty thin.
Well, so where are they?
They're here in France. The irony. Anyway, I really like this question. Natasha says, are there any French pastries that haven't made it over to the UK that we don't know about? That's a lovely question. Thanks, Natasha. Alexis?
I am not sure, because I have found everything I wanted to eat in UK. I think UK is really a place where they get the best out of everywhere. So, the French pastries, they are pretty much in abundance everywhere, even in supermarkets. At Sainsbury's, you find everything you want. So no, I can't think. I mean, maybe a tarte tropézienne. I've never seen a tarte tropézienne
What's
in
a
UK.
tarte tropézienne?
Uh-huh.
Tarte tropézienne is a brioche with it's like a tart. So it's a brioche in the shape of a tart, and it's cut into two, and inside is filled with crème mousseline, which is a mix of crème pâtissière and crème chantilly or crème fleurette whisked together. It's super. It tastes light because it's like a sandwich. It's like a sandwich, and then after it's refrigerated, and when you have a slice, you feel like it's super light. It's actually the heaviest pudding on the planet, but it's delicious. It's so delicious.
We found a way to calorize air.
And it's, exactly. And it's a specialty from Saint-Tropez. And you will think Saint-Tropez is really not the place where you would want to be seen eating such a super calorific pudding. But I've never found it I've never seen it in UK. So, but that's delicious.
That sounds amazing. And I badly want that. Danielle, what about you?
Well, I'm a Belgian, so I would like to say a word about Belgian desserts. So you don't find that much in the UK. We have a very easy dessert called Le Merveilleux, which means the wonderful. You see, we are very modest. And it's just 2 little discs of meringue. And the vegan meringue now is not a problem for us anymore. In between whipped double cream, plant-based, that you can find in the supermarkets now as well. All around, some flakes of dark chocolate. And on the top, just a whipped cream pipe. This is called Le Merveilleux. We have funny names in Belgium for our desserts. One dessert is called the Miserable, but this is... Le Miserable. Le Miserable, and it's really delicious.
It's cardboard soaked in water. No, what is a Miserable? You can't not tell us.
Le Miserable is a sponge. It's kind of a Joconde. So egg white, sugar, ground almonds, and then you have 2 layers of this thick and light Joconde sponge, and in between you just pipe 1 centimeter of a light vanilla buttercream, and you just sprinkle the top with icing sugar. So you see that it's very simple: 1 centimeter of light Joconde, 1 centimeter vanilla buttercream with excellent butter quality, of course, 1 centimeter of a sponge again, icing sugar. That's it. Le Miserable.
Amazing.
So that's what that musical was all about. I think we talked before, Alexis, in a previous podcast about the cannelé.
Cannelé, we many times we spoke about it.
You never get to say, all right, sorry, I'll shut up.
No.
Well. You never get.
But that's the same. It's the same kind. It's the same family, Clafoutis, cannelé. They are very very similar.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll shut up about them. All right. Eleanor says, desserts scream childhood to me. I get such a nostalgic feeling every time I eat a strawberry pavlova because this is something my mum used to make for us when we were kids. I love that. What dessert do you feel nostalgic over? Oh, lovely question. Danielle, let's start with you.
At waffles that find everywhere in the streets in Brussels. So you have different kinds. The one I did like was the thick ones with lots of sugar, with thick pieces of pearl sugar. And when we went shopping on a Saturday in a commercial center, there was always a little waffle to grab with my grandma. Also, I like the little galettes that you can make at home, stuffed with a little cream. Well, I love it.
Nice. Alexis, what about you?
Yeah, it's very similar because I used to go and visit my grandmother in Le Massif Central, which is in the center of France, and in a village called La Bourboule, which is somewhere you will have never heard of. There was this 100 years old pastry, which specialized in making bugnes. So les bugnes, it's like long beignet, long
Donuts.
long donuts, yes.
Yeah.
And then we used to go in late afternoon in summer. And let me tell you what they used to do. They used to prepare this bugne during the day, and they put icing sugar over it. And then the pâtissier will put his bugne all standing just behind his front, the front window. And the sun will be shining in the afternoon and will actually melt the icing sugar through the window onto the bugne. And we will buy the bugne at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They will put in these paper bags, and they were so wet, but not wet of icing sugar, which has melt and had mixed with the fat of the bugne. And those bugne, they will melt in the mouth. Probably super bad for us in terms of, but delicious. So delicious, unbelievable.
Not a million miles away from something like
baklava almost. It's the same principle. You've effectively turned the icing sugar into a syrup, or like a rum bar. Right?
Yes. Except, when you deep fry a dough, there is this very satisfying texture that it's covered in sugar. It's like I don't know. It's like eating gold. As well, it was like eating melting gold, and it was delicious. You put everywhere. You had on your fingers. It was sticky. The flavor will stay forever. It was unbelievable. Obviously, now would be against the law to do that, and just to eat that will look like mammoth.
Fun though. Chloe says, is it easy to make macarons at home? Well, if you're President Macron, it's a fairly straightforward procedure. I think she means macaron. Alexis, is it? And is there a difference between a macaron and a macaroon?
No, I don't think so. I think macaroon is the English name for macaron. Mm-hmm. Is it easy at home to do macaron? Is as difficult or as easy as doing in a commercial kitchen? Making macaron and having the expertise, it's all about doing it again and again and again. And usually there are two things you will know. It's the look of your mix, and also knowing your oven. Knowing your oven is vital, because you might have the best recipe, but I'm coming to your place to cook the macaron, and it's going to be a disaster. It's knowing the humidity, knowing how to open maybe opening the door of the oven at the right time, so they get the right crust, and they are still a little bit wet inside but crunchy outside. And then cooling down the macaroon is vital as well, because they can turn like little rocks, or they can turn into delicious macaroon if you know how to. So it's all about making them over and over and over, regardless whether you are a professional pastry chef or whether you are doing it at home. You will know how to get them as long as you do them as many times as possible.
Danielle, anything to add to that?
No, I totally agree. Knowing your oven is really vital. So you have to try again until you master all the detailed techniques. No, definitely, yeah.
There you go, Chloe. Is it easy to make macarons at home? Answer, no. Joe's got the final question, which is interesting. Do you use tofu in your desserts? Danielle?
I use tofu when I make fruit mousses, very quick and easy recipes. So it's a tofu, it's a fruit a puree, eventually some sugar if the puree is not sweet enough, a thickener, and eventually if you want a lighter mousse, you add some whisked aquafaba. No, easy recipes.
Nice. And Alexis?
Tofu we do. We have had some recipes here in the restaurant where tofu was incorporated in the pudding. One of them was the frozen clementine. So we will empty a little clementine, and then we will freeze the body of the clementine, and then we will mix the tofu with the pulp of the clementine, and we also add a little bit of like a crème pâtissière, vegan crème pâtissière base, and we'll add that with a little bit of alcohol, and we'll refill the clementine with this tofu and clementine pulp based, and then we will freeze it, and then you will eat it like that. It's a wonderful new texture. So when you incorporate tofu in a pudding, it's got its very individual texture, and that's when we did it. Yeah.
Incredible. I want to thank you both so much for a lovely listen, and thanks very much for all your questions. Don't forget, if you've got a question about vegan food, it's podcast at veganlifemag.com, and we'll forward it to the right people. Before you go though, where can people find you and your stuff? Alexis, let's start with you.
Well, people can find me in my restaurant in Soho, called Gauthier Soho. It's open Tuesday to Saturday. They can also find me sometime in the kitchen of my other restaurant, which is called 123V, and this is a vegan family restaurant. It's in Mayfair, in a department store called Phoenix, and it's open 7 days a week. Otherwise, you can find me on Instagram at Gauthier in Soho, and that's pretty much it.
Brilliant. And Daniele, what about you?
Well, I don't sell any cakes, so I'm giving demos, I'm giving courses, so I will attend some of the big vegan shows this year, just the Vegan Life live show in Alexandra Palace in June, the Just Be show in July, the flower show in Hampton Court Palace in July as well. I will give a course as well at Whitley about plant-based pastry. I'm writing my second cookbook, and I give courses, as you said, in the cookery school for the Vegetarian Society. You can find me on Instagram at Maupertuis. And my website is www.freefromdesserts.com.
Nice. Perfect. Thank you both so much, and thank you, Daniele, for doing my job of plugging Vegan Life Live, which is happening imminently. Really appreciate that. That's it for the podcast for this time. We'll be back soon. In the meantime, from me, Jake Yap, thanks for listening, and bye-bye.